Today I want to talk about some evolutionary data center models that we're beginning to see in industry. Now, it used to be that disaster recovery and backup was always toward the end of the CIO to-do list. Why? Because there were many other emerging projects that got on the list, and as the year went on, disaster recovery got pushed back further and further and further, almost as an afterthought. All of this is changing with 24/7 processing and the need for business to be up all of the time in a global economy and to avoid outages that can potentially be highly embarrassing. So one thing happens, disaster recovery and backup rises on the CIO list. This is also prompting a rethink of data center configuration. It used to be you'd have a primary data center, and then you would choose either a hot site or a cold site service to back up that data center in a case of disaster recovery or outage. But increasingly, enterprises are looking at the strategic importance of being up and the necessity of having multiple data centers. A typical model in a metropolitan area would involve two data centers, a primary and a backup data center. Each data center would have a full suite of business applications. The second data center most likely would be running in a standby mode or perhaps even in a parallel active mode with the primary data center, so that if there is a failover, there'd be an immediate switch over to the second data center and your business would not be interrupted with the outage. However, the ante is now being upped for global companies. They're thinking, what happens if a disaster so immense hits our region and all of the data centers in our total region are knocked out? Increasingly, companies are considering a 3 data center model, where you've got your 2 data centers in relative proximity to each other, and you have the third data center in some remote geography, so that if you do encounter a region-wide disaster, you can switch over to that third data center and keep things moving. Now, this is still in its infancy for many companies, but there are some major corporations who've already made a change to the multiple or the 3 data center model. Look for more of that to continue, because very clearly continuation of the business and disaster recovery is no longer an afterthought on the CIO's list.